have you here. And another exciting thing, because Wendy advocates for body image for young women, so the women came out, the young girls came out and did a dance, and they were wearing costumes that they made out of recycled newspapers that objectify young ladies and give bad body image to women. So we're really pleased to work with you in the new year in relation to that. And please help me welcome our last speaker of the evening, Wendy Goudie.
All right, so there's something about the cold, dark heaviness of winter. Winter to me has always been limitation. It's been a shackle on my freedom, it's been a creative squash, and everything is harder, things always take longer. I grew up in northern Alberta, Peace River, way up there. My dad was a bush pilot, and winter is all that we knew. And thankfully, it didn't last that long. We did move to Calgary for my school years, and still really hard winters, but little teasers of summer. And when I compare the cycle of winter to growing to summer with that of a growing artist or business person, I know those winters. And I know that struggle, and I know that hardship, and I know that I've learned if I just keep going, this little flower will eventually come up. So I want to share with you 7 stories, 7 of my winters, my hardest times, that have repeatedly taught me that if I just keep going, it doesn't last. And I don't need to run away to look for something warmer. I need to stick it out, and it will get better. So my first studio was in Penticton, southern Alberta, population 1,500. We were in the basement of an antique store with no heat. We did yoga in our snowsuits. And you wouldn't think you could grow a dedicated yoga community in an environment like that, but I kept showing up, and so did they. And fast forward 16 years, Get Bent is now the South Okanagan's largest yoga studio and Western Canada's largest belly dancing studio. And there's actually a student that was in a parka in the basement in Penticton that has moved to Penticton, and she now comes to class, which is very special. And in my first years of establishing Get Bent here in Penticton, I did for 3 weeks live on 1 bag of carrots and 1 jar of dill pickles. And I'm really glad my parents didn't come tonight, because they don't know. But it's all I had. It just wasn't an option, and I had bigger things in my brain, and I was going, and that was just what had to happen. And this is my little brother and I out at one of my favorite places to eat, because I can afford to go to a restaurant now. And I can pay to have somebody bring me a hot meal. And it's been 16 years since my carrot pickle fast, but I will never forget it. And it's because I kept going that this can be so sweet. This was our first tour, our first huge dance production in 2005. It was 64 people, 7 cities. I was completely not equipped to manage it properly, and it took us 8 years to pay off the debt that this incurred. Some of the relationships have still not fully healed. And we kept doing a show every year, a new show. We just kept going, and this is the 2011 tour, and we got it right. We sold out Vancouver, Victoria. We did so well across the province, and it was magic. And it was hard to keep creating every year, but we did it, and then we got there. My husband slept in the basement the day that this photo appeared on Facebook. But it's hard. It's hard. And when I first started, for the first 5 years, Get Bent was just me, and it was exhausting and lonely, and it's just hard. And we now have a team of 28 people that run Get Bent, and every one of them is important. And we do team building every quarter, and it's so amazing to have friends now on this journey that are inspired by the same things, that are ready to head into the next snowstorm right beside you. There's such comfort in that. So I gained 74 pounds with my pregnancy, and we had a crisis level birth on every plane. And she was 4 months old, and I still couldn't sit down. And it was almost 2 years before we finally stopped going in and out of emergency and solved the epidural complications. And I know we look cute and happy, but as an artist and a business person, this was the darkest, hardest time of my life. Instilling confidence in young girls when you have none in yourself is really hard to fake. It was a very challenging time, and we were asked to go to Victoria to present at the conference center just this last September, and I did a 15-minute speech and a 5-minute dance on body love and body image, and I got it right. The entire theater was ugly crying, and I had found a way to still contribute and have some impact with this new get-up. We were also asked to go to Toronto. There was an international belly dance conference there, and there was the 2 of Egypt's top stars were going to go. It was a super big deal. And it was $13,000 to get the whole crew there, which was way too much money. And we fundraised, and I asked everybody I knew that had business, and we got a couple $1,000s. And then in walked Richard, the rough, smoking, drinking roofer, who heard about the story because I wouldn't stop talking about it to everybody, and he dropped $10,000 cash on the desk and said, make sure you take them to the CN Tower. And so getting these girls to Toronto was such a huge win, because it was just confirmation of time and time again that it doesn't matter if the storm is ahead of you or if you're in the middle of it, with enough tenacity, and if you just have just grit and you keep going, you'll get there. And there's almost now this comfort to seeing this iced over, frozen, everything locked in, because I completely know and have learned time and again, it'll melt. If you keep going, it'll melt. You don't need to run away somewhere warmer where it's easier. You need to stay and just get through it. And it won't be long before you're running on to get into the lake and be in the warmth and enjoy that, because you've persevered and you kept going and you got there. Thank you.